Welcome to the Powell Bros Movie Reviews, brought to you by our supporters at Patreon. In case you have been under a rock, the world around us is in ruins. A nihilistic worldview permeates the film industry. Sodomites control the cultural narrative. Corporations run by sexual perverts and money launderers are constantly pumping out garbage content in order to entertain us. We here at the Powell Bros are over it. We want to give honest reviews of movies that expose the wicked and glorify the good. We want to find stories that have masculine male characters who slay dragons, and feminine female characters who need saving. We want stories and want to see creators who have an artistic prowess that shames and defeats our enemies. We are tired of the nihilistic moral ambiguity of modern-day entertainment. And we want stories that change people, that inspire people towards goodness, truth, and beauty. And most importantly, we want the entire entertainment industry to bow the knee to Jesus Christ, who is Lord of all. Yes, we are Christians, and we are unashamed of that. And if that bothers you, too bad. Now, if you do wish to support us in our mission, please head over to patreon.com/the Powell Bros, or follow the link in the show notes. There you will gain access to our exclusive show, the Powell Bros Mini Reviews, as well as early access to both movie chronicles and movie reviews. Now, on with the show.
In 2003, Jared Hess had a vision to make a movie in his hometown. A movie that would touch the hearts of millions. One about a kid, just like he was in high school. A loner, loser. Someone who always got bullied or overlooked. So he set out to do it. He started small and worked his way up, and finally got it made. What movie? I'm sure you already know. So continue listening to our review of Napoleon Dynamite.
All right, welcome to the Powell Bros Movie Reviews. We are here again with another review. And yeah, we're working through our top 10 favorite movies as always. And this is one of my picks. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. So I am one of your hosts, Tobiah, joined with Trent, your other host. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you put this on your list, because I wasn't going to put it on my list. I'm surprised you put it as high as you did, and that'll be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, cult classic. This movie, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
No,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just ask you, like, what were your thoughts?
All right.
Your overall thoughts.
Yeah. So I'm definitely in the camp of love. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. I think it is very well done for just a kind of dumb comedy. And if you even call it a comedy, I think it is. It tells, I think, a good story. The plot is a little messy. The pacing is rough. I think you really have to think really hard about the plot in order to for it to make sense. Otherwise, you're just watching a movie where a bunch of things are happening to these kids and or teenage. I mean, they're adults pretty much, but they're in high school, and you're following what they're going through and the things they're dealing with, and following Napoleon Dynamite as he goes through the struggles of high school and kind of being an outcast, an outsider in school. But once you think more in depth about it and start unpacking it, you realize, there is a story being told here, and there's a plot here. There's something that, because a lot of people do say, I think a lot of the criticisms I've heard of this movie is that there isn't any plot. Well, I think there is. It takes a little bit for it to get going, but there is one, and I think as we talk about what the movie's really about and what we think, or at least what we think the movie's about, I think that will become more clear. But I like this movie. Maybe it has some problems, but overall, I think it's a really good film. It is a cult classic. It is a movie that I don't think will ever be repeated or done again. So, in its own right, it is a masterpiece. Can I say? I don't think you'll ever see a movie like this on this caliber and this done in this way, with everything going against it as far as budget and, I don't know, even maybe the time it came out, and the fact that it took a lot of risk. Like the director, John Hess, he took a lot of risk with this film, and I think it paid off. I mean, it was $400,000 budget, and he brought in $40 million, or maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Well, it's just, yeah. I mean, a movie like this is making money for the rest of its life.
Well,
So,
yeah, I've heard it's made 130 in DVD sales.
Yeah.
130 million.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah. I think I kind of want to start off just with my overall, like, my statement of what this movie is about. I want to start with that statement and then kind of get into it. So this is the story of a loser who's living through high school and how he overcomes the difficulties of that and finds true meaning.
All right.
I think
I agree.
And you're right. It's like at the beginning of this movie, like we're getting a ways into it. I'm like, man, I'm not seeing much of a story. Like it's just random scene after random scene. But then I'm starting to catch on. I'm like, wait a minute, no, there's kind of a theme going on here. And
I forgot how much I love
and
the
I'm like,
first.
You know, everybody loves like the just Napoleon's demeanor of just, and you know he's always talking
freaking idiot,
mellow, freaking idiot. But he's kind of a tragic character. Like you feel bad for him, and he's he's just kind of like a sad, tragic character in the beginning. And even
Tina,
through most
you fat
of the movie,
lard, come get some dinner.
And you know he's getting bullied by kids at school, and his uncles constantly just being horrible to him. Really,
well, yeah, his Uncle Rico's the villain of the movie.
Yeah, no, for sure. But
he's an active antagonist for our hero.
Yeah, Kip is like actually one of the only ones that's pretty decent to him, and I kind of like the relationship actually. But anyway,
yeah. You know,
yeah. So you kind of
just jealous. I've been online chatting with babes all day.
Yeah. It's just a great brotherly relationship. I love it.
It is.
But anyway, you finally catch on and realize what this story is, what it's telling, and you're like, oh no, this is pretty well done. And I think there's a couple different things, like because halfway through the movie there actually is a really big shift in the story. And so there is some structure, weird things with the structure of the story, and I've always felt that way because it
takes 53 minutes actually.
The first half of the movie, it's half of the movie though, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it's an hour and a half movie, so
yeah,
like 50. It was like 53 minutes. I saw. I was like, okay, that was when I think the plot really started in a sense. Like things started picking up or going in a clear direction. That's my opinion.
Well, you have the first half where it's all about the dance. The dance happens, and then it's all about the election. But anyway, we'll get into it. I'm going to start going through the story right now. I know we're already 10 minutes into this, but
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we open on Napoleon waiting for the bus. He's just standing there. He gets on the bus and pulls a toy out of his pocket. I forgot how much I love this scene. I think it's probably my favorite he gets on the bus, goes to the back seat, pulls a toy out of his pocket
with a bunch of kids.
I know
he's like a whole head taller than everyone. More than a head
he's
taller.
He's supposed to be the same age as all of them, but much older.
I think it was like an elementary bus, but they probably took kids to high school. I don't think it was high school.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was supposed to be.
I don't know. I think, and maybe it was just a way of showing that like he doesn't fit in.
Yeah,
and just to set that up for his character. That could be it. And like probably it's just like that's the bus that goes on his route, and it goes to elementary school as well.
Yeah. So anyway, he sits down at the back of the bus, pulls a toy out of his pocket, throws it out the window with a string on it, and lets it drag as they drive. And he has a little conversation with the kid next to him who's confused about what he's doing.
I just love that scene.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Like I said, you either get the humor in this movie or you don't.
This is our first comedy.
Yeah, first comedy.
So it's a little different, but yeah.
No violent killing, no blood splatters, no angry jazz teachers, no.
Well, there's some angry
There's
people
an angry
in this
taekwondo
movie.
Teacher.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Anyway, I need to get through this story or we're going to be here all day.
It's a short movie.
Anyway, cut to Napoleon in class. He's telling a story of a Scottish wizard trying to blow Nessie out of the water.
The water. Yes.
And
But
cut to-
okay, I have so many things that I could say about this movie. Like,
I know.
I'll say this movie inspired me to want to be a writer. By the way, so I'll just say that to write novels. When I first saw it as a kid, just saying. I don't know what
That's
that is a
funny.
good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
I realized that as I was watching it for the first time. I was like, oh, yeah, this did it. I remember that now.
That's funny.
Okay.
Anyway, cut to him playing tetherball alone, which I think is it's a very, very
Important
short scene. What?
Important scene, but short scene.
Yeah, very important scene. Very short scene, but it's just a small shot of him just playing tetherball alone. I thought it was great. Then we
Hillary
cut.
Duff's sister comes over.
No, that's not here.
Oh,
No, this is just a shot of
Sorry.
him alone. This is very beginning of the movie.
okay.
Very beginning.
sorry. Yeah.
He's playing tetherball alone, and then we cut straight to him getting bullied by various classmates. A few different scenes
and
there.
the kids ask him, "What did you do this summer, Napoleon?"
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was hunting Wolverine. I was with my uncle hunting Wolverines.
What do you think?
What do you think? I was up in Alaska with my uncle hunting Wolverines. What do you think?
Yeah. And then he goes and asks for a phone to call his brother because he doesn't feel good. Kip answers and doesn't want to pick him up.
You bring
And
me a
then
chopstick.
right after that phone call, he meets Pedro.
Mexican exchange student.
Yeah, Mexican exchange student who was talking to the principal or something, and the principal
Yep.
was about to show him around, but then he asked Napoleon to show him around. And Napoleon tells him that he should join a gang.
Consider joining
Tells
a
him
gang.
all the different gangs at the school.
One gang asked me to join because I'm really good with bow staff.
And then Pedro shows him his bike. Then they take it off some sweet
Yes.
jumps.
You got like 3 feet of air that time.
Can I try?
Can I try? My favorite part about that is how Pedro just stands there and watches.
Yeah. And then we cut to just tons of cutting to just all these short scenes,
Just
but it's
random
so
things,
funny. But
they tell us a lot about the
telling a
characters,
story,
which I think is really
it's-
good.
and it's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the scene where Kip tells him that he's been chatting online with babes all day,
All day.
and that he's trying to become a cage fighter. But
Come here and hit me and see what happens.
They live with their grandma. Kip and
Yep.
Napoleon live with their grandma. We don't ever really know what happened with their family, but
No.
orphans presumably, and live with their grandma, just the grandma, and she's going out with her girlfriends, and then Napoleon is like, "Way to eat all the freaking chips, Kip."
Oh.
Napoleon, don't be jealous. I've been chatting online with babes all day. Besides, we both know that I've been training to become a cage fighter. It's like, yeah, right. You have the worst reflexes ever. Come and hit me, Napoleon. I said, come down here and see what happens if you try and hit me. Anyway, if you want to see me act out that scene, you can go to Trevor's YouTube
Yes.
channel.
Anyway, you guys did that.
After that funny scene, they get a ring at the door. He goes to the door. Deb is there. She's trying to sell him some charms or something. And
Some bracelets.
yeah, and she's saying that she's trying to make money to go to college. And then Kip is like, "Your mom goes to college."
Mom goes to college.
And then she basically cries and runs off, and
leaves all her
shoves all her stuff into Napoleon's arms.
Yeah.
And then Kip sees a
Or he
ad
hands her.
for-
Remember, she hands him a picture of this girl.
yeah.
She takes photos. She says, kind of awkwardly, like, "Do you wish you looked like this, or do you want to look like this?"
Yeah, do you want to
It's
look
like a
like
glamour
this?
shot.
And it's just a glamour shot of some girl. She hands it to Napoleon.
and he keeps the photo for later.
Anyway, then there's an ad on the TV for Rex Kwon Do, and he's got free trial lessons. So Kip asks Napoleon to pull him into town, and he pulls him. Napoleon's riding on a bike and pulling Kip as he's on his skates, and pulls him into town. They go to Rex Kwon Do's free trial lesson, and the guy just makes fun of them, basically.
Right.
You think what does he say about Peter Pan?
Do you think
You think I walk around dressing like Peter Pan here?
yeah, just like Peter Pan here. He's like,
Forget about it.
forget about it. And what does he say about his wife Starla? Do you think that I can't remember what he says.
Oh, I think that's what it was. Do you think I go home to Starla at night dressing like Peter Pan here?
No, those are two different.
It
He
is?
says,
Okay.
because I go home to Starlet at night, forget about it. I'm
You
forgetting.
think anybody wants a
like,
roundhouse kicked in the face with these bad
the face
boys?
wearing these bad boys.
Forget about it.
Oh,
And then anyway, he's like, it's like $600 a month or something, or just
for my
the whole-
8-week
for the whole-
program.
yeah, for the 8-week program, $600. Well, that place was a ripoff. Anyway, then we cut to Napoleon and Pedro talking. Pedro tells Napoleon that he's going to ask out Summer to the dance. I can't remember what this dance is, but it's not prom, is it? I don't know.
I think it might be a prom.
Oh, okay.
I don't. They might not even say, but it's a dance. It's a high school dance.
Yeah. And then cut to them in the cafeteria. Napoleon essentially dares himself to go talk to Deb as she's sitting alone because she left all this stuff at his doorstep. And then he goes over to her and gives her the best pickup line ever. You wanna give the pickup line, Trent?
I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You could be drinking whole if you want to. Oh yeah. Okay. So Rex Kwon Do says, right? Does anybody think that I'm a failure because I go home to Starlit at night? Forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Is that because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You could be drinking whole if you wanted to.
That's great.
Anyways, we also had the scene where the school bus school bus full of kids drives by as the farmer shoots a cow.
Yeah,
Love that scene.
That scene too. Yep. Anyway, then we get, I can't remember what happens, but they find out that their grandma. Oh wait, no, they don't find out. They actually show the scene. Their grandma,
her grandma's out
out
riding in the dunes,
riding the dunes, and breaks her coccyx. Uncle Rico gets a call to go to them, and so he comes in and comes into town, and Napoleon sees him and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here? You must not have heard. Your grandma broke her coccyx." Anyway,
it's like Kip's like 30 years old. There's a babysitter.
Then he shows them. First thing he does is show them his video of him throwing footballs.
Yeah, he's so terrible at throwing too. It's so
I
funny.
know.
He just has like a really awkward pose, awkward form.
Yeah,
but he's so full of himself.
Yeah, and he's sitting. They're sitting down, and then he like shakes his knee, and then they.
Well, yeah. Napoleon leaves because Napoleon's like, "This is probably the worst thing that I've ever seen in my life."
And then Kip is like, "How could you possibly know
that?" This is the worst thing.
This is the worst video ever made. Napoleon, how could you possibly know that?
You know what, Napoleon? You can leave.
fine.
Yeah, then he grabs his knee and he's like, oh, awkward. And he's like, he scoots over.
Yeah. I think so. At this point, it's good to mention, like, through all these random scenes, like, we're seeing a narrative happen. We're seeing this story being told through all these characters.
Things are getting set up.
We're seeing like who Napoleon is within his life, within the relationship he has with all these different people. We're seeing how he's treated by all of them. He's very much looked over, bullied, doesn't fit in, and just overall kind of just a loser mentality. And then we get Uncle Rico and Kip go get some burgers, and they talk about their girls. Find out that Uncle Rico broke up with his girlfriend, and that Kip is chatting on a line
she said that he's living in the past.
Girl. Yeah, that he's living in the past.
Because he talks about how he wishes that he could go back and back when he was young and he was playing football, and he said he'd take state. You know, if only coach would have put me in the fourth quarter, we would have been state champions, no doubt.
Yep.
I used to be able to throw a football over the mountains.
Then Uncle Rico tells Kip about his idea to sell Tupperware.
Yep.
And
he's got his pyramid scheme going.
Yeah.
And he gets involved in like 3 pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah. There's a lot of very stereotypical white people things in this movie. And it's
this is
poor,
Mormon
lower,
country in Idaho.
Yeah, lower class white people. Like, it's just hilarious. Anyway,
it's like rural Idaho.
Yeah. At this point, then right after that diner scene, Pedro and Napoleon are Pedro runs a cake up to Summer's front door, and Ding Dong ditches
to ask her to the dance.
Then Napoleon and Pedro are riding their bikes back home, and Kip throws a steak at Napoleon's head,
right in his face. Apparently, that wasn't supposed to happen. And it broke his glasses and cut his face.
Oh my god!
He actually got hit.
Wow. One of the funniest scenes.
It's hilarious because he's like, he grabs. He grabs Kip's steak from him as Kip is eating it, a steak, and then he throws it in the police. Oh my gosh, it's good. I don't know how we're gonna get through this review.
It is so funny. But again, this is like all part of the narrative of like who Napoleon is, how he's treated, and we're really seeing how
Rico is.
Uncle Rico is the bad guy, and how he's especially mean to Napoleon, and
he's starting to just ruin his life. He's getting involved in everything.
We also are seeing, like, we're not really seeing it, but if you analyze it a certain way, you can know, like, within who Uncle Rico is, you can see that he's using Kip not because he cares about him at all, or so that he'll be successful, but he's just using him so that he can make more money and gain,
like most people who do pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
Befriend people just for the sake of getting their business.
Yeah.
Or using them.
Yeah. So then
they're selling Tupperware everywhere. Like, they're going around people's houses and selling Tupperware.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah. So then Napoleon's playing tetherball again by himself. This is when Summer Weakling comes over and gives him a note to give to Pedro, and says no. And Napoleon's trying to get a hold of Pedro, and he can't get a hold of him. At this point, Kip and Uncle Rico are continuing their business plan, and they get photos taken by Deb. Napoleon sees Pedro at school finally, and learns that he was sick, and that Pedro had also asked out Deb, not only Summer, but also Deb. And they're at the table, and Napoleon tells him that Summer said no. And then he's like, well, I actually also asked out Deb. Then Deb comes over, gives him a paper, and she says yes. And Napoleon, at this point, he's upset because he can't find a date to the dance, and Pedro gives him the idea of so Napoleon found a girl that he wants to ask out, and Pedro gives him the idea of giving her a drawing. So he draws a picture of her and goes to her house to give it to her, and she's not there, but her mom is.
Just
and
such
she's
a beautiful
with,
picture.
Yeah. She's with Uncle Rico, and Uncle Rico is trying to sell to her the Tupperware. Anyway, so Napoleon gives the picture to her mom to give it to her. And yeah, it's ugly picture.
Yeah.
And then
also going back to the scene when Pedro was going to give, or was talking about giving a cake to Summer, as they're talking about, he's talking about asking her out. Napoleon says, "Yeah, my old girlfriend from Oklahoma.
Oh yeah,
couldn't was gonna fly out here for the dance, but she couldn't because she's doing some modeling right now." And he hands her the picture that Deb had earlier, and so it's one instance that we see happen multiple times where he's lying, like he's making things up, making his life seem better than it actually is, and which plays a key role in his character going on. So just wanted to point that out, especially we didn't miss that.
Yeah, this movie is quite genius, honestly.
It actually is.
Yeah. Anyway,
they go get. Did you talk about they go to Deb to get portraits? Kip and Uncle Rico. To get.
I kind of glanced over that.
Get some business cards with their names on it and all laminated and whatnot.
I kind of went through that kind of quick to save us some time.
And then they go to Deb, and then
so he goes to the girl's house to give the picture to her mom. Well, to her, but she's not there, so he gives it to her mom. Then right after that, Napoleon goes back to his house and starts fighting Kip because Uncle Rico was at his girlfriend's house. What's Uncle Rico doing at my girlfriend's house? Jeez, I think you ripped my mohawk. Oh, is it bad? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, I like that scene because when they were fighting, because they're fighting like brothers, but then he thought he hurt himself. Then you see that Napoleon was being nice and he was concerned about him.
He's like, sorry.
It's the most hilarious thing, the way they do it. But it's also great because you also see a genuine care in Napoleon at that point. I love it. Yeah.
Right. And Uncle Rico walks in.
Yeah.
And it's like, while you're out playing patty cake with your friends, your Uncle Rico was making $150. So, it's like, I could make that much money in 5 seconds. Yeah, right, Napoleon.
I made
like $60 today. Yeah. and then what does Rico say? I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what Rico says, where Napoleon. He's like, Uncle Rico comes in and he says, because he's giving him a stare down, and he's like, I wish you wouldn't look at me like that. So I wish you'd get out of my life and shut up.
I wish you'd get out of my life and shut up. Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you go eat a Dakota piece of crap?
Why don't you go eat a Dakota piece of crap? Yeah. All right. So anyway, after that scene, the girl's mom, the girl that he gave the picture to, we see the picture. It's the most ugly picture ever. But the mom makes her say yes to Napoleon to go to the dance. And then right after that, Napoleon gets a job at a chicken farm. He works all day and makes $6. And he's like, that's $1 an hour. But yeah, there's a lot of hilarious
the chickens have large
within
talons.
Yeah, what?
Large talons.
I don't understand
a word you just said.
There's a fish farm. All right, And then him and Pedro go to the thrift store and get a suit for Napoleon because Pedro's like, you should wear a suit. And then he asks Uncle Rico to take him to the dance. He says yes, but he has to go to a client first. He was very hesitant in this scene. I think that's an important note to make, is that he didn't want to, but he's like, I guess. Like, whatever.
Yeah. It takes forever.
Yep, they go to the client's house. He's taking forever. And so Napoleon looks around. He sees a really, really long dirt road and decides to walk, and eventually meets Pedro's cousins as they roll up in their car.
Right.
And
sure.
they go with him to pick him.
Are you Pedro's cousins with all the sweet hookups?
Yeah. They take him on a ride, and pick up the dates and take them to the dance. They go to the dance. They're there. Him and Napoleon and the girl. She's very uncomfortable and doesn't want to be with him. She's like kind of embarrassed and stuff. And then her friends are like calling her over, and she notices that Napoleon's not really paying attention, so she goes over there. And then Napoleon goes over to his friends, which is Pedro and Deb. And Pedro feels bad for him because he's like, what happened to your date? He's like, this was another moment when he lies. He's like, oh, I think she went to the bathroom. And very sad. But anyway, then Pedro feels bad for him and says, you can dance with Deb if you want. And then they dance. It's kind of a nice time. It's the song that my wife and I danced to at our wedding. Yeah. Time after time. I got to tell this story though. So at our wedding, we're like, or I don't know. No, I think it was before our wedding. It was either during our wedding or before our wedding. And Maribel was like, hey, we don't have a wedding song. Can you please pick one out? And I was like, I got you. And so I picked
he did.
Time After Time from Napoleon Dynamite. And she had never even seen the movie. She's like, what song is this?
That's so great.
And I'm like, it's Time After Time from Napoleon Dynamite. What do you mean?
Napoleon Dynamite?
Forget about it. And then
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
after the dance,
as the dance is going on, Pedro goes to get some water at a drink fountain, and he sees class president election coming up.
Oh yeah, right before that. So during the dance, Napoleon and Deb invites Napoleon over for some glamour shots. So she was like kind of asking him out, and we see at that time like a little bit of a romantic interest there.
Yeah,
and then Pedro goes to get some water, sees that he can run for class president and wants to do that, and then we have a shift in the story.
Things for the most part pick up at this point as far as the plot.
Yeah,
I mean things have been leading up to this, of course. It is a little awkward in the pacing because like you're getting to what seems like somewhat of a climax with the dance, but then the story kind of goes in another direction, but it's continuing building on everything that has been presented before it. So
and then right after that, Uncle Rico buys a time machine.
Napoleon offers to be a bodyguard or a Secret Service bodyguard for Pedro, and I think Napoleon Dynamite would be a better director of the Secret Service than the now former Secret Service director that stepped away for the U.S.
Definitely, absolutely.
Time machine.
Napoleon and Kip try it out.
Probably my favorite scene in any movie ever. This is like takes the cake. This is like the best scene ever.
All right, I'm ready.
Have you guys tried it yet?
Switch.
No. Well, they talk about getting a time machine early on.
Yeah.
And because Kip's like, hey, Uncle Rico's like, hey, you ever, run anything about time travel? He says, yeah, I've already looked into it myself.
Yeah.
And then they buy a time machine online. And then we just try it out? No.
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, no. So, like, in that other scene, he's like, yeah, I've already looked into it myself. And he's like, right on. Right on.
Right on. I forgot the crystals.
Yeah.
Crystals
I forgot the crystals.
Kill
the power. Turn it off. It's a piece of crap that doesn't work. I told you that.
Uncle Rico walks in, limping. He's like, I could have told you that. It's like one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, I know. I quote that line so much.
This piece of crap doesn't work. I could have told you that. Yeah, I know. So
told you that. I quote it all the time, and then Maribel watched the movie again, and she's like, I didn't know that line was in this movie.
Oh,
that's why
funny.
you're always saying that. I could have told you that. Yeah. And then after that, Napoleon and Uncle Rico go to the market or some sort of store, a little small store.
Mm-hmm.
And Uncle Rico's making fun of Napoleon in front of his classmates.
Yeah,
Summer weaklings there.
At the cash register.
Yeah.
I said the 12-pack, not the 24-pack. Just gonna have to mix and match.
What do you think? Money grows on trees around here? Put it back.
We can't afford
Get some
the fun
Pampers
pack.
for you and your brother while you're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have so this is like the weirdest scene to me in the movie, and I don't understand what's going on here, but it's the scene with the milk tasting.
Oh, I know. It's so weird. It's kind of random.
Like, I have no idea, like, how he got to that, what it is, or what. And then right after that scene, it's
just a high school thing. It's like a 4-H.
Okay, yeah.
Kids in
Yeah,
rural towns. They're milking cows, trying to milk, doing different things related to farming and agriculture and stuff.
Yeah.
So. I don't know why exactly it's included, except for just to be funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this cow seems to be pretty normal, except for that little guy right there, the little nipple right there. That's nipple number 5.
Number 5. A good cow should have 4.
Yeah. All right, and then we have a scene where Summer's trying to get voters. She's handing out flyers to all these students.
Vote for Summer. Vote for Summer.
And then the bully's like, vote for Summer to Napoleon. He's like, heck no, I'm not voting for her. He's like, who are you going to vote for? Pedro Sanchez. Who do you think? And then he's about to walk away, and he's like, hey, can I get a badge? He's like, yeah, sure.
Kids. Just chucks it.
Yeah. And then right after that, Pedro's starting to feel really hot, cuts off his hair.
Yeah.
That's about it with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a whole thing where he gets a wig and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh right. And then then we have the piñata. I don't know if that's a little farther.
I have that written down somewhere.
Because Pedro's starting to he's starting to lose some motivation for being class president, but he has a lot of people on his side.
So right after this, this is where there's that sequence of the flyers that Napoleon made for Pedro, where he draws a picture, and then it's got that and they're like slapping the stickers, the flyers all over on top of all of Summer's flyers, and then and then there's a scene, a pretty great scene, where there's a bully that bullied Napoleon earlier in the movie, where he's bullying another kid, quote unquote loser, and this is where Napoleon sees this opportunity. He's like, hey, like, if you vote for Pedro, we can protect you.
Yeah, and Pedro offers your protection.
Yeah, Pedro offers you his protection. So they're basically campaigning to just all the losers, all the kids that get bullied or mistreated, And yeah, I mean, it's funny, but and then right after that, LaFonda comes into town. LaFonda being Kip's online girlfriend that he's been talking to for a while. She's a super
she's like
tall,
obsessed with him.
black girl that is obsessed with him.
He's like a foot taller than him.
In the weirdest.
They have the footsie scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, Uncle Rico gives Napoleon's classmates the bust must plus
summer
flyers.
And, whatever. Yeah.
Just
it's
in
his
case
new
they
it's his new
wanted
product
some.
that he's
Yeah,
working
it's
on
his
that
new
he's
product
selling.
that he's selling.
It's his new pyramid scheme.
And
Telling breast enhancements to women. He's going around to high schoolers and doing like it's just I was watching it's like, oh man.
And
like,
he's always throwing out Napoleon's name too, like, oh, Napoleon,
right.
I thought you might be interested in this. Yeah.
Have a nice day. It's like this guy should be arrested.
Yeah. And of course,
he's driving around with this creepy van too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Then Napoleon gets really mad at Uncle Rico, of course, and throws a grapefruit at his van.
Oh, because they put him all over his locker.
Oh yeah. So the girls
classmates
put him all over his locker, and so then he realizes that it was his uncle, and he throws a grapefruit
another one of
at
my
his
favorite
van,
scenes.
and then he throws a grapefruit at Uncle Rico after he gets out of the van and runs after him.
His scream is just like
Yeah.
really high pitched scream, and then he gets out and chases him down. And he's like gonna throw another one. He's like psyching him out.
Yeah. And then
what are you
Pedro,
doing in my life?
Yeah. And then after that, Pedro. This is when Pedro gets in trouble for the piñata. He made a piñata of Summer and had a bunch of kids hitting it, and then he gets in trouble for it and has to remove the flyers. And he's like, I don't understand. In Mexico, we make piñatas of people all the time and hit them.
How did it feel to have your wife's people represented in this film?
It was very important that they were represented.
Yes, I thought so. No, in all honesty, in all seriousness, like this, I think this is representation and diversity done well. Where it's not shoved in your face. It's a decent character that
so I actually have something interesting
well.
to say. So, I mean, this is the end of the movie. I'll save it for the end of the movie.
Okay.
Type it in.
So he's and Pedro's forced to take down all the flyers.
Yeah.
For the election.
So he's forced to take down all the flyers. And then we have another scene of Uncle Rico. This is just where Uncle Rico this is kind of actually like the Dark Night of the Soul, I think. I actually wrote that down, that it was when the flyers were taken down, but it's kind of this whole sequence of, Uncle Rico's giving the flyers to his classmates, and then, they put it on his locker, and then he's fighting him, throwing the grapefruits at him or whatever, and then the flyers have to come down. Then this is when Uncle Rico starts to flirt with Deb in the most
he goes to her studio and
creepy scene ever.
It really is. Napoleon told me you'd be interested in this.
Yeah, and then he gives a flyer to her saying that Napoleon thought she'd be interested. Then she calls him and it's like, I don't know what you're
Call
thinking
me when you're
about
ready.
me. Yeah, but Deb calls Napoleon and tells him like, hey, that's just totally uncool that you would think of me like that. And
Your shallow friend.
yeah. So Napoleon gets super mad at Uncle Rico again and says that he's going to call the cops on him if he doesn't leave, and that he doesn't get off his property.
It's a free country.
Yeah.
Do what I want.
Yeah. And then Napoleon goes inside, calls Pedro, tells him what Uncle Rico did, and he suggests Pedro suggests that he gives her something and says all he has is a fish, and then he gives him advice on and then Napoleon gives Pedro advice on his speech, and then we cut to the I don't know where the for the
They're campaigning for president.
it's the final
Or class president.
Yeah, it's the final president.
They give their
speeches. It's
speeches and their performance.
Yeah.
And
So they do a
vote,
speech. Yeah.
the last
So then
campaign to vote for
Summer,
them.
Summer gives her speech and promises
Basically
chimichangas.
Yeah. Okay, we missed some of the best scenes where he goes and gives Tina their llama dinner. Or,
Yeah.
Tina, you fat lard, come get some dinner. Eat the food. Eat the food.
I couldn't include every.
I know.
But yeah, if you think of them, shout them out.
Right, I will.
And then, so she gives her very short speech and then says that, or maybe that she was taking chimichangas out. She's like, who
Make
wants...
yourself a dang quesadilla.
Yeah. Oh, get off, Napoleon. Make yourself a dang
who wants to eat
quesadilla.
chimichangas every day? Or,
Yeah.
I don't know
Not
which one
me.
it was. Not me. And she's talking about, like, putting something in the girl's bathroom. And so she's just appealing to, like, people like her.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think
When they
I
do
think
their
that's
dance
important too.
performance.
And then she starts her skit, and one of the teachers comes over and says, "Your skit better be good." And Pedro's like, "What skit?" And he doesn't have one. And then her skit is
supposed to
just
perform
girls
a skit,
dancing.
Pedro.
No one's really interested except for the creepy bully who's just like,
I know.
yeah.
Well, the bully and the principal.
Oh yeah, and the principal. Yeah.
So creepy.
But yeah, again, just appealing to their group of friends, not anybody else. But that's kind of like the whole point of like Napoleon and Pedro is like with that.
They're for the
other scene with
underdogs.
The bully, like it's the underdogs. It's the everyday kids. It's the everyday people that are at this school that they're appealing to, and that's really what this whole movie is about. It's just the everyday kid and just their life. But yeah. Anyway, then Pedro does his speech, and
If you vote for me, all your wildest dreams will come true.
yeah, he takes Napoleon's advice and says,
Yeah.
"Vote for me." And yeah, because earlier on the phone when he gave him advice on this speech, he's like, "Just tell them if they vote for you, all their wildest dreams will come true." So he says a few things. I can't remember what they were, but then he's like,
Yeah.
"But if you vote for me, all of your wildest dreams will come true."
Thank you.
And then as Pedro has no plans for a skit, and then Napoleon comes on and improvises the greatest dance skit ever.
Right. He's been practicing dancing before this.
Yes.
There's a few LaFonda gives him a tape of like her sister or cousin or something.
Yeah.
To practice some dance moves too.
A long dance sequence. And it's just
one of the greatest climaxes of any movie ever. Greatest dance sequence of all time.
Yep. And everyone loves it.
Kevin Bacon can go and take a seat because we have a new Footloose in his moon boots, and vote for Pedro's shirt.
Yep. Everybody applauds and stands up cheering, except for the weird bully kid.
The bully.
And then we have a scene where Kip goes off with his girlfriend. They hop on a bus.
This is kind of like a montage sequence of where our characters are all at.
Yep.
After this.
Yep. So that was like kind of that was the climax, like Trent said. Mm-hmm. And then we have this sequence of just like where all our characters are and where their narratives are going. Kip is dressed completely like a black guy and hopping on the bus with the girl. Oh, what's that scene earlier that I skipped over?
Which one?
Just like the first time we see Kip with a do-rag and all the clothes in their house.
Oh yeah, no, that was it. Well, or was that?
No,
that was earlier.
This is when they're hopping on the bus. Yeah,
right. LaFonda's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
LaFonda is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me.
I hope you find your soul. I'm almost certain she's my soulmate.
Yeah. I hope
maybe
you find a
find
soulmate one day. Yeah.
It's good. It's a good moment between the brothers. They don't hate each other. They love each other.
Yeah.
I'm 100% positive that she's my soulmate.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a babe out there for you too, Napoleon.
Yeah.
Peace out.
And then, yep, Napoleon watches them just hop on a bus and leave, and he's just
Yep.
by himself with his grandma now, and he's just like,
Yeah,
what
grandma's
the
back.
heck? Yep, grandma's back.
Uncle
she's
Rico's off on
fine,
his
and
own. He's
Uncle Rico, yeah,
wearing
and
an
then
arm
he
brace, but then
he
a
reunites
girl.
with his ex-girlfriend, and
So that what I guess
I mean, I guess I've always thought of it that it was.
I always thought of it as just a random girl that comes
Really?
up and sees him.
Well, like when the way they look at each other, like you can just tell like there's like a history. At least that's how
I kind of took it
always-
as there wasn't. And it was more like, oh hey, like you're hot, I'm hot. I don't know. I don't know. You're probably
Yeah.
right. It's probably
Yeah.
a girlfriend or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I always thought of it.
I mean, it would make sense. He's hit rock
Yeah.
bottom, and maybe he's a changed character,
Yeah,
sort of. I mean, he's lost he's at his wit's end. He's lost everything
Yep.
pretty much.
yep. He's back
Back
alone
living
with
the
his
van life.
van, and yeah. And then we end with one of the greatest endings to any movie ever, and Napoleon Dynamite's again alone playing tetherball, and then he's playing alone for a little while, and then Deb walks into frame, and she doesn't say a single word through this whole thing. It's great. So she walks up, and
Because the last
then-
that we saw between them is she hates him,
Yeah.
because of what Rico did. But she saw what he did for Pedro,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that changed her. So
Yeah,
very
like
good.
yeah, and she knew it was huge for him to get on stage because she's seen him get bullied and how people treat him horribly, and
Yeah.
how really nobody likes him. Well, quote unquote, nobody likes him, and but he gets on stage, he does that performance, and then the entire school applauds and cheers for him, and that that was the killing of the beast of the dragon, and like that's him facing all his fears, overcoming just everything that he went through in this movie. Just he could have just walked away, said screw it, all these people have treated me horribly, I don't care that Pedro is not going to win because he doesn't have a skit. He's like, no, I'm going to face all my fears. I'm going to sacrifice myself and go out there and just be myself, even though my whole life nobody's liked myself, and I'm going to dance and just let it all out. And people loved his honesty and applauded him, and
It was the first time where he goes out and bees himself.
yeah.
There's no facade. He's not lying anymore. He's not making up
Yeah.
stories.
It's so
He's-
interesting. So every
Yeah.
time we saw him dancing in his room, you know what was happening? The door was
The door.
closed, not all the way. It was slightly cracked, but
good
it
one.
was like, and there's two scenes where he was dancing that we
Yep.
saw him dancing outside of that one scene, and he was in his bedroom with his door almost all the way closed, and yeah, that was definitely like just genius by these filmmakers, honestly.
And it was in the moment when Pedro needed him. He didn't
Yeah.
he didn't think about it. He's like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
Yeah.
he wasn't planning on doing it. It wasn't something
Yeah,
that he
it
was,
was just
preparing
Immediate
for
like
either.
sacrifice, like I'm sacrificing
Yeah.
myself for my friend.
He even says to the principal, a freaking skit? You never told us about this.
yeah. Yeah, oh man, you can just really see just the love he has for his friends, and
Totally.
oh, there's that scene earlier. Oh, it's so great when he's like it was right after he had learned about it was after they went to Rex Kwon Do and saying that you needed to have a partner, or that's not what they called it, but that Rex Kwon Do is saying you need to have someone watching your back at all times.
At all times.
And then he asks Pedro, like, so we're basically friends.
We're
right?
basically best friends now, right?
Yeah, we're basically best friends now, right? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And then he's like, so you
Right.
have my back? And he's like, what? He's like, never mind. And but then you get to this scene, and it's like you really see like these two guys have each other's back, and so great, yeah. And then, so we get to the end.
I bet you all didn't think that we'd be dissecting this film this much, but we are, like we always do. You know, most people give like 10-minute reviews of films like this. No, we're doing a full hour and more.
Yeah,
like we always do. We're telling you the true meaning of this film, unpacking it.
Yeah, for sure.
This is not just a goofy film that you can laugh at all the time. It is that, but it's also heartfelt and good story, good meaning.
Yeah.
Good morals, good
lessons. I've really noticed that, like, through each of the jokes, like, it's interesting that a lot of the jokes are like Napoleon's the butt end of the jokes, but like that's the point. Is like
that's the point.
We're technically the bullies because we're laughing at him, but like the point is like, no, this is like his life. Like he gets made fun of all the time, and this is him overcoming it in the end. And then we have this scene with him playing tetherball alone again, and it's great. And then Deb comes in. She hasn't seen him since they had their fight on the phone, and except for she saw him on stage and saw him, you know, face his fears, sacrifice himself, slay the dragon. Oh, and then he says, what did he say? I went to Lake something and caught you delicious bass.
It's bass, yeah.
She doesn't say anything, and he says, "You want to play me?" And then she starts playing, and they just are having a ton of fun. And then he beats her.
Then he kicks her butt, and then
he does not give her any handicaps at all. I don't care that you're a woman. I am going to beat you.
Actually, he kind of cheated. He did the double hit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tetherball.
Yeah. Then they high five at the end, and just great. Yeah.
So, because what was the first shot of the film?
It was just him standing all by himself. Yeah.
Gets on a bus with a bunch of kids that are way younger than him. He doesn't belong.
Yeah.
What's the last shot of the film?
He's having fun with a friend.
Yeah. The whole movie, he wants to have a friend. Yeah. He's trying to fit in. He's lying about his girlfriends. He's lying about his past. He says one of the gangs wanted me to join because I'm really good with a bow staff. He's making up all these stories and creating this. Lying about his girlfriend in Oklahoma, creating these facades, a different image of himself that people can see, so that because he knows he's a loser, he knows that he doesn't fit in. And so he's trying to be someone he's not, and that makes it worse throughout the film. Because, and what's interesting is most of the time when he lies, like he lies to the bully when he says that I was, in Alaska hunting Wolverines with my uncle, and then he gets beat up right after that. And I think there was a couple other scenes where like something bad happens after he lies, like lying's not getting him anywhere. And it's dishonest. It doesn't create. He's not going to make friends that way, and he has to learn that. And then when he finally decides to be himself and do the right thing and sacrifice for his friend and step up in the moment, that's when he learns his lesson. That's when he grows as a character, and that's when he is able to make friends. And, he makes friends with Deb finally when she sees the true him, when she sees who he is, because he's no longer creating a facade. He's not lying. He's not hiding himself. He be's himself, his genuine self, and that's where he succeeds as the underdog. His character development I had was that he was an unhappy loser with no friends to happy with true friends. You find true joy in just being who he is.
And
being a good friend.
Adding on top of what I wrote with kind of what you were saying is that he went from this very fake character lying about who he is, not being his true self, to someone who can actually be his true self and actually, have joy with his friends without having to put on a facade, not having to lie to these people to try to make friends.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the travesty in all of this, or the tragedy in all of this, is that Disney now owns the right to Napoleon Dynamite.
How?
20th
Oh,
Century
20th
Fox.
Century Fox. That is horrible. Well, I own the
It's
DVD,
awful.
so every time I watch
Just
it,
wait.
it does not give them any money.
Well, just wait until the remake.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even gonna get into that. Let's conclude.
Is there
Wait till Napoleon's a
something?
woman. No, there's not.
okay.
I just have I have a bunch of
Yeah.
ideas in my head that I know
Yeah.
they would run with.
All right. Yeah, I know. Okay, so yeah, that was our review of Napoleon Dynamite. There is an end credit scene. We're gonna pull an OG
There is, yes,
episode, OG
there is.
mini reviews episode, and we're gonna talk about the end credit scene and
Totally.
talk about just some interesting facts about this movie, and then get into a mini review. And we're gonna review. I am gonna review La La Land, suggested by one of our Patreon subscribers, BJ Inyan, and who was also a guest at one point. And yeah, so yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this one. Remember, there
something.
is so much more to
rate
stories
this movie.
than meets the eye. And
We need to rate this film.
yes, all right. Let me finish my rant, and then
Okay, sorry,
that way
go ahead.
we can just say bye after we rate it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just remember to really dig into movies.
There's more that meets the
much
eye, you were
more.
saying.
Yeah, for sure. What may just seem like just empty jokes in this movie, they weren't. Like, there was a narrative behind each and every joke, and yeah. I mean, we didn't even talk about a single thing bad with this movie.
I mean, I talked a little bit about the plot, and just it takes a while for it to pick up. I don't know, we both
Yeah.
kind of did, but
Yeah.
like I do
But
think
like
it takes
like
a
we
while,
said,
a little
it
too long
does
for it
like
to things pick
so
up.
many of those scenes were so necessary though, because
They-
it's like
they
we
were.
really
They were.
it's showing him and what his life is like, and like that was
Is this
kind of
a
the
perfect
point.
movie?
That was the story. It's like this. Look at this character. Look at how he interacts with
Yeah.
all these people. Like, let's give
Right.
a long overview look of this character, and this is okay. Now that you know who this person is, this is the rest of his story. Like, you've
Totally.
gotten a little bit of his story. You know who he is. You know how he interacts with all these people. Now here's the rest of his story.
Now I can kind of see. Well, no, I can see better after talking about it with you why it is one of your favorite films and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it went a lot higher for me. I'd say I do like this movie. It's a good one.
Yeah. All
One
right.
of the good ones.
Where do you want it?
Oh man, this is so hard. I was before all this, before we talked about it, I said 8.5. It's like, this is a mid 8 for me, which is really good, really high. I think I'm gonna stay that. I think it's an 8.5 for me.
That's it?
I don't know, man. I'm really struggling with this season and rating. It's really hard to rate these films
I mean,
because they're such it's just, I don't know, so many different categories of films that we're watching, and so many just different types of films. It's hard to really put together. It's like I do think just where this movie falls would be just like 8.5 as far as like a well designed, drawn out plot. Like, I do think it lacks a little bit in this film. I understand your point, and I agree with you. And 8.5 is really high for me at the same time. So, what would you say? Maybe I might go higher. I don't know, because I did say 8.5 before, and then I do think after talking about it, I feel a little better about it. So maybe I should go higher. What would you say?
I'm kind of thinking like 9.3.
Ooh, okay, that's yeah. I'll give you 9.7.
All right.
Or no, sorry, 8.7. 8.7.
All right.
Like, which I think that's that. Yeah, I'd say 8.7.
Is this really the lowest movie though on our that we've reviewed so far?
I don't know. I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah.
I think so. Because what's our lowest?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, well, Pig, I think this is better than Pig. This is gonna move up.
You think it's better
higher
than Pig?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would agree. What do we give Pig?
8.9.
Yeah, you're right. This is better than Pig. So I want to be fair. Well, this is like, I don't know. Like, I'd say because Pig is such a different category. There's a lot of things I like about Pig, but I also had a lot more issues with Pig as far as the plot goes.
Yeah, I mean, we can
okay,
lower
you know
Pig
what?
a little bit.
I mean, because I want to be fair. I want to be consistent. So I'm going to say 9.0. 9 flat. That's my score.
Okay.
9 flat. You're 9.3. What do you want to do? Do we have a 9.1 or 2?
No.
Yeah. So
we can do 9.1. That's fine.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's a good score.
We might, yeah. I don't know if you want to change Pig.
No, I think Pig is 8.9. I'd say that's
okay.
Because there's so many aspects of Pig that I love and that I appreciate.
No, for sure.
That I'd still keep it there. So you would have put Napoleon Dynamite higher on your list.
Yeah. So what I say, 9.3.
Okay.
I'm trying to make a list of all of what our personal ratings are.
Right.
So yours
wait. Yeah, I guess I haven't even been following. Well, I have. Yeah, because I put Gladiator below? I put Gladiator below the Patriot. Obviously in our draft, but in our review, because I'm trying not to even think about where did we originally rank it? Like after dissecting it and working through it, well, what is my score?
Yeah.
Based off of everything that we've done in the past and how we're rating these films, trying to stay consistent, but also give it a fair score and not think, I have to go below this movie. It's like, it might be higher. Yeah, I don't know. Next week, 1917.
Yep.
Going back to another war movie.
Yep.
So, yeah, just such different films. And then what? What's
Surf's
after that
Up.
one? Surf's Up. Yeah. I haven't seen that movie since I was probably like 13.
Yeah.
I wanted to come out. So, anyways, we should probably land this plane.
That was it. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week. All right.
Yes. See ya.
All right.
Bye.